It's 2026. Gas prices are all over the place, everyone wants a heat pump, and behind the scenes, installers have kicked off a massive price war. Look, if you're a homeowner looking into an energy upgrade right now, contractors are quietly setting a financial trap that could easily cost you tens of thousands of euros. Let's make sure you don't step in it.
Heating contractors are feeling the squeeze of a slow market, so they're slashing their quotes by up to 20% just to win your business. Sounds great, right? Actually, no. A cheaper quote is usually a wildly expensive mistake. Underbidding means they're cutting corners. No proper heat loss calculations, just a straight-up, dangerous box swap. And if they go bankrupt mid-project, which, trust me, is happening all over Europe right now, you're left with a freezing house and absolutely zero legal recourse. So how do we separate real engineering from a cheap disaster waiting to happen?
Well, first, let's look at the physics for a second. Moving heat versus burning fuel.
To figure out your true costs, you have to understand that this is a completely unfair fight. A gas boiler burns fuel. Even the absolute best condensing models on the market hit a hard physical ceiling of around 90 to 92% efficiency. Why? Because the exhaust flue literally sucks some of the heat you just paid for right out of your house. There is a hard physical limit to burning fuel.
But a heat pump? It doesn't burn anything. It simply moves existing heat from the outside air right into your living room. A well-designed air source system has what's called a seasonal coefficient of performance, or SCOP, of 3 or more. In plain English, that means it delivers roughly 3 units of heat for every single unit of electricity it consumes. It's not magic, it's just physics. But here's the curveball. Raw efficiency doesn't actually dictate your monthly bill.
Which brings us to the deciding number, because actually it's not just about efficiency.
If you're stressed about your monthly budget, this is the only metric that matters. Your bill is decided by a ratio. Simply put, a heat pump wins on running costs when your local electricity to gas price ratio is less than the combined efficiency of the systems. This is your personal break-even formula. It's not some fixed industry number. It depends entirely on your specific utility tariffs.
And in the real world, this math is shifting fast. In the UK, the electricity to gas ratio is sitting between 2.5 and 3.0. In Germany, it's about 2.5 to 3.2. And in Spain, standard tariffs are making these dynamics highly favorable. Basically, across most of Europe right now, the math is heavily tipping in favor of the heat pump.
Let's put some real numbers to that. Take an average European home that needs 15,000 kilowatt hours of heat a year. A gas boiler is going to cost you about 1,815 euros annually to run. An air source heat pump? Roughly 1,360 euros. That's an annual saving of around 455 euros. And that's before we even talk about upfront installation costs. But what happens when you stretch this timeline out over a full decade?
Let's zoom out to the 10-year horizon, the true cost of ownership.
If you're remortgaging or doing a major renovation, please never just look at the sticker price. Upfront, sure, a gas boiler seems incredibly cheap, but over 10 years, when you factor in the installation, the running costs, and the maintenance, that gas boiler totals around 43,700 euros. The air source heat pump actually comes in cheaper at roughly 39,700 euros, and a ground source heat pump, that's over 46,000 euros. Let me be totally blunt here. Ground source rarely makes financial sense for an average home because the drilling costs are just astronomical. Air source is where the economics actually work for you. So why is this math shifting so fast right now?
It all comes down to one massive policy shift. On January 1st, 2025, the EU essentially banned public grants for new standalone fossil fuel boilers. So if you buy a gas boiler today, you are paying 100% of that upfront cost straight out of your own pocket.
But if you install a heat pump, the government will still foot a massive chunk of your bill. The UK's boiler upgrade scheme gives you £7,500. Germany will cover up to 70% of the installation, and Spain has some seriously lucrative regional schemes. But fair warning, policy risk is real. These grants can vanish overnight, so you really need to act while the schemes are still open. But wait, how do you even know if your house is ready for a heat pump?
So here's the 50-degree screening test. It's basically a free home audit you can do yourself.
Before you ever pick up the phone to call a contractor, run this free DIY test. Wait for a typical 48-hour cold spell. Go down to your gas boiler and manually drop the flow temperature to exactly 50 degrees Celsius. Then, leave your thermostat running continuously. If your home stays perfectly warm over those 2 days, guess what? Your existing radiators are likely already sized for a low-temperature heat pump. This is incredibly valuable data to have before a salesman ever steps foot in your house. Now, it doesn't replace proper engineering, which brings us right back to the danger we started with.
This is why you have to audit your installer. Here are 3 non-negotiable demands. Accepting the cheapest quote without specific guarantees will absolutely destroy your return on investment. You must demand these 3 things in writing to protect your wallet. Number 1, a room-by-room heat loss calculation. Number 2, a hydraulic commissioning and balancing plan. And number 3, their exact insolvency and warranty position if they happen to go bankrupt during the job. If they skip over these, they aren't engineering a heating system for you, they are literally just swapping a box.
Let me make this a strict, non-negotiable rule of thumb. If they cannot answer all 3 of those questions clearly, find a different installer. Just walk away. Do not let them touch your house.
The financial stakes in 2026 are just too high to guess. So ask yourself, are you truly ready to sign that heating contract right now? Or do you need a one-on-one energy audit first? If you want me to run the specific heat loss numbers for your home and map out exactly what grants you qualify for, check the description for how to get a personal audit. And hey, if this explainer helped you out today, send it to a friend who's about to renovate. Let's keep them out of the trap too.